Guys, I'm telling you the truth when I say you'll want to listen into this new story of another Order 66 survivor. Even I kind of sort of eye roll a bit, but by the story's end, I literally said aloud, what the hell was that? And I was excited for the first time in a long time about an Order 66 story. So with that being said, let's enjoy this story together that is brought to us today from the Legacy of Vader comic, issue number 7, by Charles Soule, which follows Kylo Ren's quest for purpose after the events of The Last Jedi. Now wait, before you turn off the video and go somewhere else, I know the story is derived from the sequels, but this issue in particular does introduce a new character stemming from the prequels. And no, they didn't botch this one. I'm telling you, I really mean that. I think you guys know by now I'm not really a big fan of the sequel, so for me to say this is a good story, well, you guys know I absolutely mean it when I say it. So without further ado, let's get the story started. Our story here today takes us to the planet Layth in the Midrim. Now, Kylo Ren, being his Kylo Ren self, is still seeking validation the angsty young adult in him craves, and it leads him to track down a very old Order 66 survivor. Now, right off the bat, she's able to pull Kylo Ren's lightsaber away from him. And you have to remember, Kylo Ren is following a Vader-esque path, right? He's trying to find more Vader within himself, and perhaps even supplant Vader. So as such, he keeps hunting these remaining Jedi, even if they're old and literally in a grandma state. And in this case, he decides to kind of play with his food, or at least he thinks. And Kylo Ren decides to entertain a conversation with Grandea, where she questions Kylo's motives. And interestingly so, in fact, some of the simplest questions she challenges Kylo with, she challenges him to the core, and I think probably makes him feel boyish. For example, the old Jedi simply asks a question, quote, "So you're looking for a Jedi? There's no bounty anymore." And in challenging Kylo, the grandmother decides to tell her story of her survival of Order 66. And the story is certainly colorful, and then it tells another story similar to where we see Obi-Wan and Kanan Jarrus at some point in time. And you have to remember that both of these users simply decided to blend in, give up on the Force, to run. More specifically, the survivor, who we now know as Grandea, reveals that in an effort to keep up her flight from the death of the Jedi, she came to master the Jedi mind trick, using it over the course of a lifetime to run, evade, and hide, even learning to use it on more difficult subjects like the Toydarians, who famously are resistant to, well, mind tricks about money, right? She ultimately explains to Kylo that in order to live, she had to leave the Order behind. And a quick side note theory, this is a very interesting piece of dialogue I'd like for you to hold in your mind till the end of the video, because we will be revisiting it at the conclusion of the story. So eventually her Order 66 story takes the turn we all know is going to happen. She's hunted down by the Inquisitors. But to her benefit, despite being dismembered and stabbed, she's able to use her mind trick to narrowly evade a harrowing death. Though again, a little bit of an eye roll, the whole getting stabbed thing and not dying, it's kind of becoming a bit much. But I'll let it pass in this situation because the story concludes in an epic fashion. So as she concludes her Order 66 story to Kylo Ren, it's hard to see whether or not she's mind tricking Kylo Ren here. And again, she decides to question Kylo's purpose of hunting her down, saying, "Who are you? Why do you need my death so badly? What can killing a stranger who was once a member of the Lost Order possibly give you?" And now she decides to invade Kylo's mind, who shrieks in pain, but ultimately retrieves a saber and strikes her down multiple times. But now here, this is the big moment. This is the moment that took me by surprise. And this is the moment I have to commend Charles Soule, the author of the comic. As Kylo violently slashes at Grandea, Grandea's body rises from the ground. Her eyes begin to glow. Her body animates, almost ethereal and zombie-like, and questions Kylo one last time. "Who are you?" As Kylo becomes more enraged by this possible mockery, he slashes towards Grandea one more time, and upon that fateful, final slash, she disappears, leaving Kylo Ren to wallow in his anger. Before we get to my thoughts, here's a little bonus theory that I mentioned we talk about at the end of the video. Earlier in the video, I mentioned that Grandea had to leave the Order behind, so she claimed. Now I couldn't help but think back to Kylo's truly epic line in The Last Jedi, "Let the past die." That being his mantra, though he finds himself continually tracking the past down in these issues as we see, it made me wonder if Grandea saw his appearance coming. If Grandea, well, was she ever present with us at all? And if Grandea is something more ethereal than we suspect, perhaps being from another plane of existence, maybe a type of witch, which based on her features, might not be so far-fetched. And as for my thoughts so far, well, I've been following the Jedi Knight series and the Legacy of Vader series. So far, both have had some hits and misses, but this issue of the Legacy of Vader is truly surprising and provides a meaningful Order 66 arc, which really compelled me to tell you guys all about it. So definitely go check out this issue, because it was really a great, thoughtful, and provocative read, at least in my opinion. I'd love to know your thoughts on Grandea. Who you think she really is? What actually happened here? And what does this mean for Kylo Ren going forward? Who did he actually encounter? So leave your ideas and theories down below, and I'll definitely respond in kind. If you enjoyed this kind of content, let me know below. Let me know if there's any particular content I'm currently working on or have worked on and I'm continuing that you'd like to see more of. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Be careful with the ethereal out there, because it might haunt you in a way that you don't suspect. Until next time, everyone, stay safe, and may the Force be with you always.